Welcome to Level Up with Kia Baxter. Well, you'll discover purpose is a lifelong journey and requires an individual's commitment to self-development. Join me as I share my personal stories and tools on how you can constantly go to the next level. Welcome to episode 5 of Level Up with Kia Baxter. OMG, I am so excited to have another episode. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about purpose. As you know, the last episodes, we were talking about relationships, but I wanted to make a little shift. I want to go ahead and let's talk about purpose. That's one of the things I absolutely love to do. As you guys know, I am a life coach, and that's one of the things that I specialize in is helping people to discover what they're supposed to be doing in life. That's the big question that a lot of people have. How do I discover my purpose? What was I put on this earth to do? I feel stuck. I don't understand what's happening right now. What is it that God put me on this earth to do? And so I'm going to kind of help you today on today's episode to really get some clarity on what that looks like. I believe that there isn't just one destination in life. I believe that purpose is a lifelong journey, and that it's a journey of discovery. We're constantly discovering who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be doing through our life experiences. So everything isn't just by happenstance. There should be a learning lesson from everything. I know that for me, I've definitely learned a lot throughout my life, all of the things. If you go back to episode 1, I really went into who I am and how I got to where I am today. So make sure you go and take a listen to that so you can see basically who is Kia Baxter. How did you get to this point? How did you discover? And even now, I have a whole shift that I'm making in my life as well, because it's God really taking me on another journey. And so sometimes that happens, and sometimes there can be some discomfort, and sometimes we don't understand it, and sometimes we just want to, do one thing or comply to what the system is, and that's go to school, get a good job, and just live, a regular life. But that dissatisfaction that you have is saying, no, there's more to life. There's more. You're supposed to be doing more. So I'm going to help you to get out of that fear and really walk in your purpose. And purpose, the definition of purpose is original intent. And I like to say God's original intent. So God has an original intent that you were created for in this life. And so let's get to it. One of the questions that people always ask me is, how in the world do I discover what my purpose is? And so there's a lot of different ways that you can discover your purpose, but there are some that I kind of stick by. And I know that a lot of people kind of say the same things, but I've got a little twist on this. So how do you discover your purpose? The first one that I'm going to say is follow your inner guidance. What is your heart telling you to do? Typically, purpose doesn't just start just off of one day you just wake up and you say, oh my goodness, like this is what I want to do. Typically you've seen it throughout your life from when you were a little kid. You kind of, see glimpses like, man, I want to be a singer, or I want to be a dancer, or I want to be a speaker. And, people would say that you were really good at this, or you just did it naturally with no fear, because, when we're little kids, it's just so easy for us to just get up and do something like with no worries, no cares in the world. It's just kind of like, I'm going to go for it. And as we get older, that's when we start learning what fear is, and that's when we start being concerned about what everybody else is saying. And so you have to really follow your inner guidance. And because I'm a believer, I like to say that there's, it's the Holy Spirit that is within us that's always guiding us, because God is always speaking to us all the time on what it is that we are supposed to be doing. Now, do we listen to that all the time? Absolutely not, because that is a scary thing, especially when you've been raised a certain way. And like I said, if nobody else is doing what you're doing, everybody's kind of looking at you like you're crazy. Like, what is that? I don't understand that, right? And so you have to get out of fear. I like to say, get out of the boat. Get out of the boat. There's a story in the Bible that talks about Peter walking on the water but as he got out of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus, he got afraid. He got a little scared. And so he began to sink. And Jesus was like, what are you doing? You don't have anything to be afraid of. I am going to be with you at all times. And so I like to always think that when I'm stepping outside of my fear and my anxiety and my worry, when I'm stepping outside of that I have to know and recognize that God gave me this plan. He already knew what I was supposed to be doing from the beginning of time. Actually, before I was even formed in my mother's womb, he already had an amazing, perfect plan for me. And he's not going to let me fall. He's not going to let me fail in the process. And so when I get afraid, I'm like, look, God, you gave me this plan. You told me, you gave me this idea. You gave me this grand, big idea. You keep putting this in my heart and in my mind, and it won't go away. So I don't have anything to be afraid of, because you know what? I'm going to trust that you have my back. So listen, follow your inner guidance, that thing that you keep thinking about. I always say that it's never going to die. It's never going to leave you. As long as you live, it's never going to die. You're going to keep thinking about it. You're going to be like, man, I should have done this, or I should have done that. And what we don't want to do is we don't ever want to live with just being that person that has great potential. Like, what? Great potential. Like, I don't want people to say, oh, you've got potential. No, I want to live out what I see in my heart, what I feel in my spirit that I'm supposed to be doing. I want to see that lived out. And let me tell you, it's so fulfilling when you can see that, man, I got out of the boat, I stepped outside of my fear, I stepped outside of myself, and I did it. There's a huge sense of accomplishment that you get that says, you know what, if I did this, and everybody was looking at me like I was crazy, and everybody was saying, no, I don't understand that. If I did this, then there's so much more that I could do when that next idea comes in place. You become fearless. I had the opportunity to sit in some conferences this month. This is Financial Literacy Month, and I've been to some amazing conferences and talked to some amazing, successful people. And one of the events that I went to was Dinner with Millionaires. And so there were four business owners. They were millionaires, and they talked about how they got started. And these millionaires are the unconventional ones. You know, they didn't have the family from their moms. They didn't have the capital, the startup capital that most people have. They really just made a decision to do what they felt in their spirit they should be doing. They really just made a decision to say, you know what? I am a risk taker. I'm going to take this risk, and I don't care what anybody has to say. And it proves, because now they're millionaires, it proves that it worked. It doesn't mean that they didn't fail. It doesn't mean that they weren't afraid. It doesn't mean that some people weren't upset with them. For an example, one of the people talked about, it was so funny. This guy, was talking about, hey ladies, well, basically told us, like, don't listen, hopefully you won't listen to this thing where they say don't marry potential, because he said, man, I was potential, because when I married my wife, she trusted me. She trusted everything that I said, and I lost all of our money twice. Now, I know that would probably be a very difficult one to know that, man, my husband just lost all of our money. Oh, my goodness. But she trusted him, and that was the reason why she married him, because he was very ambitious. And she trusted that at the end of the day, even though they lost everything, and it was a hard time for them, right? Even though they lost everything, she knew that he was going to do what it took to get them back on their feet. And they always say that once you become a millionaire before, that you can actually do that again, right? And so listen, I'm about that life. I'm going to follow every instinct, inner guide. I'm going to follow my inner guidance that's telling me over and over again, nope, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Because I realize that I'm the type of person that when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I just get out of, my whole world is out of alignment. All right. And we're going to talk about that a little later. So the first thing is follow your inner guidance. What is your heart telling you to do? Right. So go ahead and get out of that fear and follow your inner guidance. Number 2, explore the things that you're passionate about. So that thing that you're passionate about, and passion just really means that this is what I love to do. I would do this for free. I would do this, without even just volunteer my time. I would just volunteer my time and do it because that's how much I love it. So explore the things that you're passionate about. I always tell people, especially, with college students, it's so important. And the same thing, like, when you do internships, it's so important for you to do internships. Go and see if this is something that you're passionate about. Well, we know as adults, you can't really intern places because at this point you've got bills to pay or whatever, but you can volunteer your time. So that's just an example of exploring your passion. Volunteer your time somewhere, whether if it's church or in your community, whatever it is, volunteer your time so that you can see, is this something that I would be willing to do long term? And if it is, then this is when you really start creating the plan. And we're going to get into that later, but explore the things that you're passionate about. I have this little motto where I say, believe, pursue, achieve. You have to believe that you can have whatever it is that you've imagined. And imagination really is that thing that I was saying on the first one, where it's that inner guidance that's telling you that you're supposed to be doing something. So make sure that the first one is believe that you can have everything that you've imagined in your inner guidance, whatever the Holy Spirit is guiding you to do. Believe it. Believe that you can have that. Believe that it's going to happen, because if you don't have that belief system, nobody else is going to be able to do that for you. There's not going to be a driving force that makes you keep going. Once you believe that this can happen, there is nothing that will stop you from reaching your goals. All right. And so the second one is pursue. You've got to pursue every passion passionately. And so that's where that explore things that you're passionate about comes from. Pursue every passion passionately. Go after it. Go hard at it. Man, I'm going after that. Let me go see. It's just like when a man is in pursuit of a woman. He will not stop at whatever it takes. He will not. This is like my relationships podcast. But he will not stop coming after you. If he is in pursuit and he really wants to be with you, there's nothing that's going to stop him from really trying to see, until you just, really have said no 1,000 times. Like, okay, now at this point it's harassment, right? He is going to stop. I remember when I was in corporate America, one of the things that they would say with marketing was there were two things. Well, we had to make these phone calls, and it's kind of like bill collectors. They keep calling over and over again. And so what we would do is we would call our prospects early in the morning when we got to work. I worked in property management, and so we would call them every day. And if they hung up on us or whatever, that would not stop us. You would have to literally tell us to stop calling you, before we actually stop, because at that point it's harassment if you keep calling and the person has said stop calling you. But you would have to tell us to stop calling you. There were two rules. They said the person has to say stop calling you, or the point where you stop calling is they have to tell you to stop calling you, or they die. That was the rule. It was like either they tell you to stop calling them, or they died. They passed away. That's the only time you stop. And so, I mean, that's a pretty bold thing. That's like crazy or whatever. But it's really like a joking thing, because they were saying, you don't stop. You keep putting your name in their ear until at some point they say, okay, you know what? We're going to come by and we're going to set an appointment. And so that's the same thing with your goals and your dreams. You have to become unstoppable. Pursue every passion passionately, and then you will achieve every one of your goals. You got to set that in your head that, man, okay, by this date. One of the things I started doing was making sure that I set dates. So I don't just, I really don't like when people come and they have these amazing ideas and they want to do all of this stuff. But it's just pipe dreams. They don't set any goals. They don't set any dates on when they're going to achieve them. So if you want to achieve a goal, you have to be intentional about it. Be intentional about it. Set your date. without setting a date, it's just a dream. It's just a fantasy. It's not realistic, right? So go ahead and set your date so that you can achieve. So those 3 things were believe, pursue, achieve. And this was just a segue, if I could call it, maybe, A to number 2, okay? Because number 2 was explore things you're passionate about. Number 1 was follow your inner guidance. What is your heart telling you to do? Number 3 is ask yourself what legacy it is you want to leave behind. I constantly question, what is it that I want to leave behind? How do I want people to view me in this world? How is it that I want people to view me? And the reason why I ask that is because that is the part now where I'm setting my intentions on. It may not be here right now. My goal may not be accomplished right now, but at least I could feel it because I begin to embody it. You have to prepare yourself for who you want to be. And so there was this meme that was going around, and I loved it. And I think it said, I don't know if it's verbatim, but it said something like, if God told me that this was what I'm supposed to be, so I'm going to walk like I already have it, right? And so something like that, right? And so it's important for you to make sure that you reach the point where you say, I'm going to act, think, believe in what it is that I see for my life. For an example, if you want to be a speaker, one of the things that you have to do is you really have to start practicing your speech. You have to start practicing. You have to look up great speakers and see how they speak and what motivates you and how they motivate the people and how they move the audiences. And that's one of the things that I started studying when I started becoming a speaker, because I was so afraid of it. I was just like, I don't even know if I'm going to have something to say for even 5 minutes. Like, how are they expecting me to talk for 30 minutes? As you can see now, I can go for a long time. I always have something to say. But I began to prepare because that was what I saw. Even though it scared me, I knew that I was supposed to be a speaker. I knew that I was supposed to be motivating people. And a lot of times, I have a lot of women that come up to me and they tell me afterwards, oh man, you did such an amazing job. I know that I'm supposed to be doing that. And I'm like, what's stopping you? Why aren't you doing it? And the first thing they say is that I am afraid to speak in front of people. And so what you have to do is, like I said before, being intentional. My first speaking thing that I did was like I invited about 20 people, and I said, listen, well, no, it wasn't speaking. It was for my life coaching business. I invited about 20 people. I didn't really tell them what I was doing, and I said, listen, it's a VIP, venture that I'm starting. And so everybody wants to be VIP. And so they came to the Microsoft store in Lenox Mall and sat there, and I was so nervous and so scared because I wasn't used to speaking in front of people, but these were all people that I knew. And so what I did was I rehearsed. It was like a rehearsal before I actually started getting paid from it. I started rehearsing in front of people that I know. And so it's important that you have to make sure that you walk in it. You say, man, this is what I want to leave behind. So I'm going to start walking in it. You have to constantly question yourself. What is the legacy that I want to leave behind? Am I going to allow fear to stop my legacy? Am I going to allow fear to stop who God has called me to be? Am I going to allow that? Or whatever it is, the money portion, because I know a lot of people don't start because they feel like they have to have a lot of money. My first business that I started was when I was 23 years old, and I started it with $100, and that was an online women's clothing store. And I bought $100 worth of inventory, and I sold it, and I saw how quickly it went, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I can flip this money like this quick, then I can do it. So what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? I'm always asking myself that. So when you are intentional about the legacy that you want to leave behind, there are some things that you're going to have to change with in yourself and around you. So you've got to change the people that you're hanging with, the way that you speak, the confessions that you make as well. So, all of that negative speaking, all of that negative thinking has to go. You've got to begin to replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, those negative thoughts with thoughts that God has said about you. One of the things that I love to do is affirmations, and affirmation is the declared truth. The actual definition for an affirmation is the declared truth. And the declared truth can really be whatever it is that you tell yourself. So you can tell yourself negative things or you can tell yourself positive things. But if you want to if you're committed to leaving the legacy that you have imagined for yourself, you want to tell yourself positive things. I am capable of being exactly who God has called me to be. I am fearless. I don't have to be moved by fear. Like, I don't have to allow fear to rule me. Now, fear is one of those things that's natural, and that's why I keep bringing it up, because I always get nervous before I do everything, but I don't allow it to stop me. So I am unstoppable. You've got to really begin to tell yourself opposite of of the negativity, because I always say that negativity is actually not the truth. It's a lie. Everything outside of anything that's hindering you from doing what you're supposed to be is not even, or doing what you're supposed to do, it's not even real. It's a lie. And so you've got to begin to tell your mind that, you know what, that is a lie. It's not the truth. Let me affirm myself. So I'm going to change the way that I think and change the way that I do things. The other thing is changing your surroundings. You can't be around the same people who have stinking thinking. I remember my teacher used to say that. I know some of y'all have heard of that. But you can't be around those people who have negative viewpoints and negative ways of thinking. Man, that will drain you like crazy, because a lot of times we'll try to get people on the bandwagon with the vision that we have. And it's like, you can't do that. You have to sometimes you will have to remove yourself from those people. And actually, sometimes you don't even have to. As you begin to walk in what you imagine or who you're called to be, you'll notice that some people, those very people that are being negative, they'll drop off themselves, because they'll make a fight. They'll create a fight with you eventually. Like, you know what? You said this and I don't like you anymore. And it's just like, wait, where did that come from? All right, deuces. Like, and sometimes you can be reunited, because people initially, when you're first starting, they're really watching and they're trying to see, like, okay, is this true? Is this real? Are they really transforming? Are they really going to be successful? And then when they see you successful, that's when they typically want to jump on the bandwagon. Okay, man, let me see what's going on, because they're doing an amazing job. Man, I have experienced that so much in my life, and it's okay. Like, I know it's just a part of life and what happens, but, I always am like, okay, I could feed you, from afar. Like, it's cool. We could be cool, but from afar, because I understand how you are, and that's okay. So making sure that when you ask yourself what legacy it is that you want to leave behind, you've got to now walk in it, but you know that you have to change some things within yourself that's going to help you to elevate and be that person that you want to be. I would imagine that, there were things that people like Martin Luther King and Barack Obama wanted to do, but they just had to make a decision to say, you know what? I can't do that anymore. I can't be around those things anymore, because of the person that I want to be and the legacy that I want to leave behind. Okay. And so, all of the bad habits and the things that got you in trouble before, you've got to now change those, and it's for the better. I believe that when you're walking in alignment with your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing, it really becomes a natural thing. Like, like a sour taste to your mouth, like to your world. Like, wait a minute, I can't even surround myself around that. Okay. So make sure that you ask yourself what legacy, that's number 3. What legacy is it that you want to leave behind? Number 4, Adjust your posture and the things you say. Oh, I'm sorry. Number 4 is visualize, write it out, and go after it. This is kind of like believe, pursue, achieve. It's the same thing. Go after it. Go after what it is that you want. So listen, purpose is original intent, and I always like to say God's original intent for your life. And how do you discover it? How do you discover your purpose? And so there are so many tools to help you to get there, but I'm just going to leave you with, I guess I can just do the 3 instead of 4. We're just going to do 3. And the first one was follow your inner guidance. What is your heart telling you to do? And the second one is explore things you're passionate about. And the third one is ask yourself what legacy it is you want to leave behind. All right. So those are just 3 things to help you to discover what your purpose is. And as you begin to walk in line of that, like the last one I said, begin to show up in who you're called to be. So you may not be that amazing speaker yet, right? But you show up and your posture changes and you start speaking differently and you start pronouncing your words and trying to not like one of the things that I'm working on, I just said but I'm working on it. I'm working on not saying and using fillers. That's mine right there. So that's an example of showing up in who you want to be and what legacy you want to leave behind. If you want to be known as a person that's effective in the community, get out there, Nipsey hustle that thing. You know what I mean? Get out there and leave some legacy behind. Go volunteer at the community organizations. Go give back during the holidays. Not even just during the holidays, but old clothes that you have, give back. Like, you have to begin to walk in that, all right? And so I want to leave you also with things that are going to happen when you know that you're in alignment with your purpose. Because this was the strangest thing to me, is that I started noticing things when I was really walking in my calling. It was just like things were happening and I didn't understand, like, who is this person? Like, I'm really changing. Like, the things that I never wanted to give up, I just was like, I don't even want to do that anymore. Because I realized that those things were going to jeopardize who I was called to be, and I was committed more to my purpose than I was anything else, anybody else, really. Maybe even relationships. I don't know. I was way committed to that, and I wanted to see it through, and I wanted to achieve my goals. So there were some things that happened during that time, and let me share them with you. The first one is that things that you think about are going to start happening faster. It's just going to be like, man, there's going to be a draw to you. You're going to become an attraction and a magnet to what it is that you want and what it is that you see. And this is when you're in alignment with God's plan for your life. When you say, you know what, I want to make a decision to walk in this. I don't care. I'm going to do it scared. I'm going to do it with people talking about me. I'm going to do it no matter what the bills are. I'm just going to make a decision to do it. And what you'll see is, as you begin to step outside of the boat and walk on that water, you're going to see that everything that you need starts gravitating towards you. You become a magnet for who you want to be and who you want to show up for. One of the things that I did was when I said that I want to be a speaker, I put it everywhere on all of my social medias, and I really wasn't all that a speaker yet. Like, I hadn't booked all these gigs and all of that stuff yet, but I put out there that I was an international inspirational speaker. I hadn't even been out of the country yet, right? And what happened was, I really started, people saw that as a tag, and then I started posting little videos, 15-second videos of me speaking at little places like schools and stuff like that. And really, people really started inboxing me and calling me. And I was shocked. And initially, I was doing it for free. But then it was like, hey, we want to pay you to come in and speak. What's your budget? What? You have a budget for me to come and speak? I literally became a magnet and an attraction to everything that I would think on, everything that I started envisioning, everything that I thought on and I spoke positive about and I affirmed and declared in my life, it started just coming to me, right? And so things, when you are, this is when I'm giving you what will happen. Some of the things that will happen when you are in alignment with God's purpose for your life, when you're walking in your purpose. All right. So the first thing is things you think about will happen faster. Number 2, you'll start to need more space from friends and family, especially when it doesn't resonate with your journey. So the space will come regardless, right? Even if you have supportive friends and family, you still will want space because you'll need that time to yourself to just create and just to meditate on what God is showing you, to really quiet yourself so that you can have that creative space. Because let me tell you something, it takes a lot of creativity to walk in your purpose, especially when you don't have the funds to do it, okay? It takes a lot of creativity. And even when it comes to when you do have the capital and you do have the money, you see that big corporations like Chick-fil-A and Zaxby's and all of these, especially like McDonald's, you see that they are still doing commercials. And in my mind, they never ever have to do a commercial ever again, right? Because their brand is just so big. Especially, I would just say McDonald's because they're just all over the world. They literally don't have to do one, but they do. And they always make sure that it is creative. They're always making sure that it's fresh and that it's new and that it's exciting. They always do that. Why do they do that? Because they want it to stay fresh on people's minds. They want to keep that component, that creativity out there, to get people to keep coming. So you always want to make sure that you are creating that space. It's not even going to be an intentional thing. It's just going to be something that you just desire to do. You're just going to want your space. Like, you know what? I need clarity. I need to think. I don't even understand what's happening right now. Sometimes you'll get stuck and you need that space. But it's going to happen. You're going to want your space even more when you're around people who don't resonate with your vision, period. Like, period. Okay. You're going to be like, get away from me. And because I remember I used to feel so bad about not wanting to be around certain people. I don't feel bad about that at all anymore. That's when I started knowing, man, I'm really walking in my purpose. I'm really walking in who I'm called to be, because I'm not going to jeopardize my vision and the vision that God has for me because somebody else, it doesn't resonate, with them. I'm just not going to do that. All right. So the third thing is you will begin to pick up on messages from God. Like, messages from God will come from everywhere. Like, that's a message right there. Like, that's speaking to me. Like, you're going to feel like you're hearing from God on every level because He's, like I said before, God is always speaking. And so when you're walking in alignment with your purpose, it's almost like when you see that car that you really, really want and you finally get it. Once you get on the road, you drive off the lot, you start seeing that car everywhere. It's like everybody's driving this car. Like, what is happening, right? And that's what happens when you're in alignment with your purpose and you're walking in your purpose. And these are things that really help you to stay motivated, because sometimes it's like, man, this is hard. This is not easy. But when you see those messages in the music, or, when you're watching TV, or when you open up a book, or even in some of your people that you connect with, maybe at a networking event or something like that, and they kind of speak life and they say what you've been seeing, and it's like, wait a minute, Lord, you speaking. This is confirmation. You're going to begin to see that show up more and more as you're on your journey. Because listen, God wants us to have that motivation. He wants us to stay motivated and not get off of our paths. And so that's why you're going to start hearing these inspirational things happen along your journey, in your journey to discovering purpose. All right. So number 4, distractions will be sent, right? And it's going to seem like everything everything is trying to stop you from doing what you're supposed to be doing, that you're purposed to do, right? It's going to be distractions coming from the east, the north, the south, and the west, honey. And it's going to make you feel like, you know what? Maybe I didn't hear right. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing for real. Like, this is not on point because I'm about to get evicted from my place. My car got repoed. My children acting crazy. People talking about me. People starting drama. People making up stuff. Everything is just going crazy in my life right now. And I'm trying to walk this path of purpose like God wants me to. I'm trying to do what Kia says on her podcast, to follow your inner guidance, to go after your passions. And it's just not working out right? But I want you to recognize that those distractions, they will be sent because there is an enemy to every dream. There is an enemy that's going to try to stop you and get you off your path. That's just real. It just happens that way, right? And so you've got to be more committed to what God has shown you, because it's not just by happenstance. Remember, I said before that your passions will never die. Your dreams will never die. As long as you live, they're just going to keep really coming back up. You're going to be on that 9-to-5 job that you don't like, dreading to go into work. And every day you're thinking about, man, I should be writing my book. You're thinking about, man, I should start my daycare, or man, I should start my hair salon, or man, I should start my food truck. Whatever it is, whatever business you have, or and not even just business, just whatever it is, what passion you have, right? That you can, I believe that we should turn our passions into businesses, because that's how we really see the financial wealth and all of these things. And we'll talk about that on probably the next episode. We're going to talk about monetizing your dreams, right? And so it's important for you to make sure that you understand that distractions will come, and don't be moved by them. You got to allow that driving force to be, you know what, my legacy that I'm planning on leaving behind is way more important than this little distraction. And typically when we're going through something, it only lasts for a month or two, and we think like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end, right? And because when I look back on when I was going through different hardships and all this stuff, it was a short amount of time for the reward that I'm getting now for the big picture. And I'm just getting started, right? And so I'm thankful that, man, I went through that little small error where I was struggling or whatever it was, but it taught me something, so in that time of distractions, make sure you discover what the learning lessons were. What is my learning lesson? Okay, God, you're teaching me more patience. You're teaching me how to overcome these situations, because as you go higher, it's levels to this. The level up, it really is. Leveling up has levels to it. And there was a saying where they say, with every new level, there's a new devil. I totally believe that, and I agree with it. And so if you can't handle these little distractions, and I believe that's the beauty of it, man. These distractions came, I overcame them, and I was more committed to doing what the original intent for my life was than to allow myself to fold and stop and become comfortable, and complacent in my life. All right. So number 4 is distractions will be sent. Number 5 is you will lose fear of what others think. Like, I think I kind of mentioned this before, is that I don't even care what people say anymore. Like, I don't even think, I'm not even concerned about what people think. When I have a vision, I know that it's not by happenstance. The biggest thing for me is just making sure that I have clarity on what that vision is. So I'll go into my quiet space and I'll, pray and I'll meditate and I'll visualize and I'll say, okay, what do I see? How do I see this being executed? And I write it out. And then that's when I set the dates and I say, you know what? Okay, I've set my date. Let's move forward with this. All right. Sometimes I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I just do it because I I'm not afraid of what other people think. And sometimes people, my team especially, they're like, oh Lord, here she comes again with these big old ideas, with this big old idea that, and we don't have the big budget like we're supposed to have. And I'm like, listen, let's write the vision, make it plain, and then we're going to figure out how we're going to make it happen, okay? So understand that you will lose fear of what others think. Number 6 is your development will become the most important thing to you in your life. When you see that you are in alignment with your purpose, your development, your spiritual development, your mental development, your physical development is going to become the most important thing to you in your life. Even when you have children, when you have other people that you're taking care of or whatever it is, it's going to become so important to you because, man, it's almost like I can't give up on this. I can't, because now I have legacy to leave behind. I have even more people that's looking up to me or waiting on me to show up in my purpose so that they can show up in their purpose. So it's going to become the most important thing for you in your life. For me, my spiritual development is so important. My personal development is so important on every level. Like, I'm not putting anything off. Like, even, I say spiritually, mentally, physically, even when it comes to the physical, we're not, all of these things we're not always super disciplined in. But as long as I know this is important to me, I always come back to it. I always get back into my regimen and say, you know what, I'm going to get back on the path that I'm supposed to be on because this is important. If I don't have development, if I'm not committed to my own development, then somewhere my business, my dream is going to go slacking. And then I'm just going to leave it alone and I'm going to allow it to die. And I'm going to be that person with the great potential. And I'm telling you, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person with all this potential and I didn't fulfill any of it. So it's time for us to really fulfill who we were called to be in this earth. And we have to become committed to getting out of fear and letting go of those things that are hindering us from walking in it. And so I want to do a little recap really quick. And so the recap is the first thing, the first one that I did was, how do you discover your purpose? Because so many people want to know, how in the world do I discover my purpose? And sometimes, people just get stuck. And that's what a life coach does, is that we help people to become unstuck. So if you're interested in doing life coaching with me, I'm going to give you the information on how to contact me at the end of this broadcast. But how do you discover your purpose? Like I said before, there are so many ways that you can, but here are 3. The first one is follow your inner guidance. What is your heart telling you to do? Number 2, explore things you're passionate about and act on them. Number 3, ask yourself, what legacy is it that you want to leave behind? All right. It's so important for you to understand, when you walk in your purpose, there are some things that are going to happen when you are in alignment with your purpose. And the first thing I said was, things you think about will happen faster. Number 2, you'll start to need some more space from friends and family, especially when it doesn't resonate with your journey or vision. Number 3, you will pick up on messages from God in everything. In the music and TV shows, you'll see that He's really sending you confirmation that you're on the right path. Number 4, distractions will be sent, but you have to understand that distractions are really helping you to be strengthened and to teach you something for your next level, okay? Number 5, you will lose fear of what others think. And number 6, your development will become the most important thing to you in your life. It's so important for you to understand that development piece is very important. Like, you have to know that, listen, I have to get myself together. I have to do a self-check. Hey, listen, why am I not happy? Why am I procrastinating? Why am I not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Okay. And so these are just a few things, and I hope this helped you with, just having a sense of guidance. And because I kind of listed a lot of different things, little tools along the way that you can take, some of the things that I did that helped me to get on the path. And even now, like I said before, man, sometimes, I'm super nervous when I'm doing new things, but I have become so committed to not allowing anything to stop me. One of my favorite affirmation is I am unstoppable. That's my favorite affirmation, because I really am unstoppable. I will never allow anything to stop me from doing what I know that I'm supposed to be doing on this earth, because I know that I'm going to leave a legacy behind that will not and cannot be erased. Okay. Listen, when you are feeling stuck, go in the direction of your passion. Go in the direction of what your heart is telling you every single time. Go into prayer. It's so important that you pray, because that's your spiritual compass that, really lifts those burdens off of your heart and off of your mind. Always remember that anything opposite of positivity for your life, it is not the truth. So if your mind is constantly telling you you can't do it, it is a lie, okay? And so we want to be committed to the truth. We want to be committed to affirming and declaring our lives. And affirmation is the declared truth. And you can affirm it every single day you wake up in the morning. I am amazing. I am unstoppable. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And there is nothing that will stop me, okay? So this was another episode of Level Up with Kia Baxter. I'm so happy that you joined me today. And listen, I just I didn't know what I was going to talk about next time, but I know what I'm going to talk about now. And we're going to talk about how to monetize your business or your idea next week, because so many people always tell me, man, I don't want to really start a business. And I'm like, some businesses, you don't even have to really, go hard in the paint at, especially if you're passionate about it. But you have to create a plan for it. So let's talk about that next week. And I think I might even bring somebody in next week. Because when I had my guests on the relationship one, that was kind of fun. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode, episode 5 of Level Up with Kia Baxter. You can reach me on all platforms. I am Kia Baxter on Instagram. I am Kia Baxter on Facebook. And I am KiaBaxter.com on my website. Thank you so much. I will talk to you again soon. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Level Up with Kia Baxter. I would love to stay connected with you. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at I am Kia Baxter. For upcoming events and products, visit my website at IamKiaBaxter.com.